All right, boys. So, thanks for sitting here with me today. Thanks for listening. I am so excited to have the chance to speak to you guys for a few minutes. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't wanna bore you. I didn't wanna make this super complicated and almost, go into a bunch of tangents. So I am gonna speak to you guys for 15 minutes. I'm gonna make this interactive. And just for everyone, I know most of you know me, but probably the people watching and some of you guys don't fully know me. So my name is Arthur, and 3 years ago, my life took a full 360 turn. I was bald, I was fat, I was depressed, I was broke, and 3 years later, my life completely changed. I am traveling the world full time. I have amazing friends, like here, obviously, and I truly feel like I'm living the life that most 20-year-olds dream of. But why am I telling you that? Not just to flex on you or anything like that, maybe a little bit, but I'm telling you that because most people will look at me and think the only skills that got me here are things like sales, networking, being good at communication. But there's this one skill that was absolutely game changer for me. And it's a skill so simple that most people don't even think about it most times. And that skill is self-awareness. So I'm gonna start with a quick question for every single one of you. Raise your hand if you think you're self-aware. Is everyone being honest? Okay, so you got a good chunk of the group that thinks they are self-aware. When I was doing research for this talk, I looked at a few studies, and it seems like what most studies conclude is that over 95% of people in the world think that they are self-aware, but the real number is probably closer to 10%. Okay, so what that means essentially is that statistically, every single person who raised their hands probably thinks they're really good at something they're actually terrible at. And that includes me, that includes you. But before I tell you why that matters, let's make sure we're actually speaking about the same thing. Self-awareness, in the simplest of terms, is your ability to see yourself clearly. Your flaws, your values, your talents, your blind spots, all of it. But there are two types of self-awareness. The first one is internal. Your internal self-awareness is your ability to know what you're good at, what you're bad at, what makes you move a certain way. Your external self-awareness is your ability to understand how other people perceive you. Not how you think you come across, but how you actually do. Think of it like driving. When you're driving your car, internal self-awareness would be the equivalent of knowing exactly how that car works. You know all the specs, you know all the blind spots, you know when it's not working, you know when it has problems. Your external self-awareness is your ability to realize how other people, the other cars, perceive you when you're on the road. And what happens is, if you miss any of those, you're crashing, okay? And with appointment setting, which I know is most of your guys' world, it's the exact same thing. If you don't know how you're coming across on a call or in a conversation in the DMs, you're gonna keep repeating mistakes and patterns without knowing that you're actually making those mistakes. All right? But now that I told you, what self-awareness is, let me quickly explain how it can change your life. So 2 years ago, I thought I was destined to be successful. Like a lot of you here, I thought the only thing missing was the perfect business model, the perfect skill, and I never thought to blame myself. I remember at the time, as some of you may know, I spent thousands and thousands of euros on courses, mentorships about trading, drop shipping, business models I'm not gonna mention because they're just way too sketchy to put on YouTube. And it was a mistake, not because of the money I spent, but because I never was willing to blame myself. The only thing I was blaming was external factors. It's not the right business model, it's not the right timing, it's not the right product. I never thought to put the blame on myself. And that's why I failed. But I thought we could do a little exercise, something small, something easy. So I'm gonna give each one of you one of these papers. If you guys can pass it along, I'll give one to each of you and one pen as well. I'll start with the pens on the other side. I think that makes more sense. Pass them along. It's gonna be quick. It's gonna be very quick. And just to keep on the same subject, the interesting thing with what I was doing and with what most people do when they start getting into the world of online businesses, they're basically running at full speed in the wrong direction without realizing that they are not going anywhere, but they think they are, right? So what I want you guys to do is look at that paper. And as you can see on the left column, you do one. You will see it says you. So I want each one of you to take 30 seconds to write 3 words that you would use to describe yourself with. Go for it. Focus on the left column, Sam. That's all I'm asking you to do. I want you to do now, without taking out any of the words you've written already, is I want you to write on the right column 3 words that your best friend, the closest person that you have, whoever that is, would use to describe you. Go for it. 3 words that you would use to describe yourself. On the right side, you use 3 words that your best friend would use to describe yourself. What I want you guys to understand with this exercise is I want you guys to look at those 2 lists. I'm not going to ask anyone to share because this is a personal reflective exercise, but if there is a gap between those 2 lists, that's what I call your self-awareness gap. And the bigger the gap, the more it's costing you, essentially. In your relationships, in your career, maybe even in your health, everything in your life is determined by that gap. Because you can't build real relationships and a strong career if you don't know how other people perceive you. When I did that exercise 3 years ago, I remember it vividly. It completely changed the way I thought about myself. I realized I was avoiding a lot of things. I stopped making the same mistakes and repeating patterns that weren't taking me anywhere. I didn't suddenly start working harder. I just stopped working against myself. That's the most important lesson in this. But now you might be thinking, okay, I know what self-awareness is. I know why it's important and how it can change my life, but how do I build it? And I don't want to overwhelm you with a million different things. So I'm going to give you 3 simple habits that you can implement in your life today to start building self-awareness. The first one is you stop asking why questions and you change it to what questions. What I mean is when something happens or something doesn't go your way, you don't ask, oh, why me? Why did this happen? Because the only thing that does is it keeps you in a negative loop. So you're going to start asking, what did I want to feel? What did I expect from that situation, from that person who maybe didn't treat me in the way I wanted, or that situation didn't go in my favor? That's the first thing. Because what questions are face forward and they actually give you a path to solve that pattern. The second thing is brutal feedback. And this one is going to be hard for most of you. But I want you to go to the people that you can trust, the people that you love, that you spend the most time with. And you're going to ask them straight off, what is one thing you think I'm currently avoiding? One thing you think I do, but I don't notice. And it's going to be tough, but I don't want you to defend yourself when they start talking. You're going to listen and you're going to use that to your advantage. Because when you ask for honest feedback, people will give you what they actually think, point blank. That's it, okay? The third piece of advice is gonna be daily reflection. And I know this is gonna be hard because it takes work, but it was one of the biggest things that made the difference between me 3 years ago with no direction and me now feeling like I'm living the absolute dream. So every single day, whether that's in the morning, at night before sleep, I just want you to take a piece of paper or a journal like Mike's got there, and I want you to write down what went well today. How did I feel? What patterns do I think I created or used that maybe weren't in my advantage? So once you start doing those 3 habits, what you'll notice is that self-awareness gap is going to become considerably smaller. And the interesting thing is that most killer appointment setters I know and successful people I know, they're not working harder than most people. They just know themselves better than everyone else. So at the end of the day, yes, work hard. Yes, invest in your skills. But if you want to become that guy, it all starts with self-awareness. So thank you guys for listening. First of all, I am not going to do a Q&A now because Callum's masterclass tomorrow is going to have some things about similar subjects, and we thought it would be interesting to just do a joint Q&A tomorrow, sorry. But the one thing I want you guys to do, every single one of you, is either today after this one if you have questions, or tomorrow during Callum's masterclass, is I want every single person to at least have one question in mind for when we sit down. Because truth is, you guys came here, you spent your money, your time, your energy coming here, and I want you guys to leave this place with the most value possible. So think about one question, think about as many questions as you want, but at least one good question that you think can actually move you forward. And one last little challenge I'm going to give you guys is in the next 48 hours, or maybe when you go back home, it'll be easier, is I want every single one of you to go to someone in your life and ask them the question, what is something you think I'm currently avoiding? What is something you think I do that I don't notice, and that is not something that's helping me grow? Okay? Cool, boys. Thanks a lot.